30 insane geography facts about Zimbabwe, guys. Look, man, I do want to visit Zimbabwe sometimes in the future. I definitely want to go to the falls there. I gotta check that out. But let's go ahead and check out 30 insane facts about the country that we did not know. Let's get right into this.
This is Zimbabwe, and most people know the name, but very few know the country. Zimbabwe has been through things that would have broken most nations, and it is still standing, still breathing, and still breathtaking.
Warriors.
A 1,000-year-old tree, a fish that hunts birds, and a mountain that swallows.
Wait a minute. Hold on, that's gotta be a piranha, right? What do you mean? How is a fish hunting a bird? I'm scared to death of Zimbabwe already. How do y'all got fish that's killing birds in the sky?
All those people. This place earns every second of your attention. 30 facts about Zimbabwe. Starting from fact number 30. Let's start with the name itself. Zimbabwe is named after a ruin. The Great Zimbabwe Ruins are the largest ancient stone structure in all of sub-Saharan Africa, built between roughly the 11th and 15th centuries by the ancestors of the Shona people. And the wild part is the engineering. The walls climb up to 11 meters high, built from nearly 1 million granite blocks stacked perfectly, with nothing holding them together but precision. No cement, no mortar, just skill. And they've stood for over 700 years.
That's crazy.
Fact 29. This one genuinely surprised me. Lake Kariba, on the border with Zambia, is the largest man-made reservoir on Earth by volume. It holds a staggering 185 cubic kilometers of water at full capacity. To put that in perspective, China's mighty Three Gorges Dam holds about 39.3 cubic kilometers. Kariba is so vast, it actually changed the local climate, and the sheer weight of it triggered its own minor earthquakes. And here's the part that gives you chills. When the dam wall was sealed in 1958, it took the Zambezi River 5 full years to fill it. That's how much empty space there was to flood. Fact 28. Zimbabwe has a season that works backwards. Almost everywhere else, leaves turn red and orange in autumn as they die. But here, the Masasa trees do it in spring, just as the new leaves are coming in. For a few weeks before the rains, whole hillsides light up in red, copper, peach, and deep maroon. And it all means growth. Those young leaves have a natural coating that works like sunscreen.
This would confuse me, bro, because I'm used to this right here looks like fall and autumn, bro. It looks like fall to me. Like this right here is fall weather.
Protecting them until they toughen up and turn green. A landscape that looks like autumn, but is actually celebrating spring. Fact 27. There's a place in northern Zimbabwe where elephants have learned to stand up. In Manipools, a wild floodplain along the Zambezi, certain bull elephants rise up onto their 2 back legs, balancing their entire several-ton body upright, just to reach the highest seed pods on the anna trees. Wild elephants doing this is almost unheard of anywhere else on Earth. Fact 26. Running straight down the middle of Zimbabwe is the Great Dike, a line of hills stretching about 550 kilometers from one end of the country to the other. Astronauts can spot it from orbit. It formed 2.5 billion years ago when molten rock pushed up through a crack in the crust, and it's packed with treasure. One of the biggest platinum reserves on the planet, plus gold, chrome, and nickel. People call it the spinal cord of Zimbabwe, and the whole country's mining runs right along that line. Fact 25. Tucked into the far east of the country is the most southerly rainforest on the entire African continent, the Chirinda Forest. And standing inside it is a giant, simply known as the Big Tree, a red mahogany that towers around 65 meters tall and has been alive for over 1,000 years. It was already centuries old when the stone city of Great Zimbabwe was being built. Fact 24. About what's underground, Zimbabwe is sitting on the largest lithium reserves in all of Africa, mostly at a place called Bikita in the south. Lithium is the metal inside basically every phone, laptop, and electric car battery on the planet right now. So the green energy revolution everyone keeps talking about? A big chunk of the raw material is coming out of the Zimbabwean bush. Fact 23. Now let's go to the water everyone knows, Victoria Falls. You've probably heard it called the tallest waterfall in the world. It isn't. It's not the widest either. What it actually holds is a stranger, bigger title, the largest sheet of falling water anywhere on Earth. stretch its width of over 1,700 meters across a drop of 108 meters, and you get a single curtain of water so vast that nothing else on the planet comes close. Fact 22. In the southeast corner of the Eastern Highlands sit the Mayne Mountains. They're made of something special, almost pure quartzite. Over 1 billion years, old sand got pressed into rock, so pale people call it sugar white. Then it bent and tilted into sharp ridges along the Mozambique border. Wind and rain have shaped the top rocks into strange, twisted forms. And the soil here is so special that about 80 kinds of plants grow here, and nowhere else on Earth.
Wow.
Fact 21. But here's the one that always blows my mind. Tucked away in the Eastern Highlands is Mtarazi Falls, a thin ribbon of water that tumbles in tiers down about 762 meters into the Honde Valley.
Dang, how many
that total
waterfalls
height
does
is
Zimbabwe
roughly
have?
7 times the drop of Victoria Falls. It's a completely different kind of waterfall, a tall, delicate cascade rather than that thundering wall of water, but the most famous falls in the country isn't even close to being the highest one in it. Fact 20. Now, those Eastern Highlands hide something truly dark. Mount Nyangani is the tallest peak in Zimbabwe at 2,592 meters, and locals call it the mountain that swallows people. In 1981, 2 young daughters of a government minister vanished on it without a trace, even after a huge helicopter search. People have gone missing on it again and again since then. The most recent, a tourist in 2014. Climbers are told to ask the local elders for permission before going up. Some things you just don't argue with.
Hey, they found the center of the earth. That's what happened. They probably in the center of the earth right now.
Fact 19. Let's lighten things up. All over Zimbabwe, you'll find these gravity-defying balancing rocks. Huge boulders, some as big as houses, stacked on top of each other like a giant toddler's building blocks. They're here because the softer rock around the hard granite wore away over millions of years, leaving these impossible-looking towers behind. Fact 18. Most people don't realize Zimbabwe ever had a significant white population at all. But at their peak in the mid-1970s, white Zimbabweans numbered around 300,000, roughly 1 in 20 people in the country. By 2012, that number had collapsed to just 30,000, barely a tenth of what it had been less than 40 years earlier.
Where'd all the white people go? What happened, bro?
The vast majority trace their roots back to British settlers, with much smaller communities of Afrikaner, Greek, Portuguese, and Jewish descent rounding out the group. Fact 17. Swimming in Zimbabwe's rivers is a fish that hunts more like a land predator. Meet the tigerfish, a mouthful of interlocking, razor-sharp teeth and a reputation as the most aggressive.
Yeah. Remind me never to swim in no types of body of water in Zimbabwe. Yeah. I'm so glad I'm watching these videos, bro, because I will never get in no type of water, bro. There is no way that y'all got a fish like this in the, bro. There's no way, fam. I'm thinking piranha. Nah, fam. Nah, bro. Look at the... No, sir.
Freshwater game fish in all of Africa. Anglers fly in from all over the world just for the chance to fight one. They hit so hard and run so fast that people describe them as a piranha crossed with a marlin. Fact 16. Zimbabwe doesn't do 4 seasons.
Imagine.
And honestly, there's something I love about that. The Tropic of Capricorn runs just below the country's southern border, putting Zimbabwe entirely in the tropical zone. So forget spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Life here runs on just 2. A hot, wet season from November to March when the rains arrive and everything bursts back to life, then a long, dry stretch for the rest of the year. No snow, no golden autumn leaves. Just wet,
so it's warm?
Then dry, then wet again. And there's a strange kind of comfort in a rhythm that simple. Fact 15. This country has worn several names in just 1 century. For decades, it was called Rhodesia, named after Cecil Rhodes, the British businessman who pushed colonization here. But when the country won majority rule in 1980, the people chose a new name, one taken from the great ancient stone city, straight out of the Shona language. They named it after something that was truly their own. Fact 14. There's a national park here that, by all logic, should have almost no animals in it. Hwange has no permanent natural water source. But in the 1920s, the first warden started drilling boreholes and pumping water up from deep underground. And the elephants came and stayed and multiplied. Today, Hwange is home to around 45,000 elephants, one of the densest populations on the continent.
Hey, that's more than how many white people live there. Remember, they said 30,000. Now there's 45,000 elephants.
All surviving on water that humans pump out of the ground every single day. Think about that.
There's more elephants that live in Zimbabwe in a certain area than there is white people who live in the whole of Zimbabwe. That's crazy.
Fact 13. Hidden in the north is a cave with a pool of water so blue it doesn't look real. The Chinhoyi Caves hold a pool the locals call Chirorodziva, the Pool of the Fallen. The water is a deep cobalt blue, stays at a steady 22 degrees all year round, and is so unbelievably clear that divers can see rock formations many meters below them. They've gone down past 100 meters in there, and still, nobody knows for sure just how deep it really is.
Hey, bro, you could probably get to the center of the earth in Zimbabwe, bro. There's probably some avatar creatures living under there, fam. Ain't no telling what's under there, dog.
Really goes. That is terrifying and fascinating at the same time. Fact 12.
For real.
Zimbabwe is landlocked. No coast, no sea, not a single beach. And yet the longest river touching it, the Zambezi, is the longest river in all of Africa that flows into the Indian Ocean, running about 2,700 kilometers from its source to the sea. So a country with no ocean of its own is still shaped by one of the continent's mightiest rivers, sweeping right along its northern edge. Geography loves irony. Fact 11. In the southwest sit the Matobo Hills, a place that holds a record few people know about. It has the highest concentration of rock art anywhere in southern Africa, with some paintings dating back more than 13,000 years. Ancient people stood in these very same granite caves and painted the animals they hunted, thousands of years before anyone had even dreamed up the pyramids of Egypt. Fact 10. Buried in northern Zimbabwe was one of the oldest dinosaurs ever found on Earth. Just sit with that for a second. It's called Mbiresaurus. It walked this land around 230 million years ago, and it was a tiny, two-legged thing no bigger than a dog. Yet this little creature was an early ancestor of those towering, long-necked giants that came millions of years later. It all started here. Fact 9. Dotted across...
So hold on. Did he just say dinosaurs originated in Zimbabwe? If I'm not mistaken, is that what he said?
Zimbabwe's hot, low-lying areas are baobab trees. And honestly, these things barely act like trees at all. Their trunks can swell to 10 meters across, and the wood inside is soft and spongy, more like a giant succulent than timber, because it's storing water. And some of them believed to be well over 1,000 years old. Just imagine everything one of these has quietly stood through. Fact 8. Here's a strange one about scale and emptiness. The Eastern Highlands run for about 300 kilometers along the Mozambique border, and the views from the high peaks are so vast that on a clear day, you can gaze straight into another country. Misty mountains, pine forests, orchids, cool trout streams. It looks nothing like the hot safari plains people picture when they think of Zimbabwe. It's almost like a whole different country, quietly folded into the same borders. Fact 7. There was a time they called Zimbabwe the breadbasket of southern Africa. Its rich red soil and steady rains made it one of the most productive farming nations on the continent, growing so much maize, tobacco, wheat, and beef that it fed its neighbors too. Tobacco especially became like gold. Even today, Zimbabwe is the largest tobacco grower in all of Africa, and one of the top producers in the world of flu-cured Virginia, the golden leaf that ends up in cigarettes everywhere.
Fact 6. Down in the far south, the land drops away into the Lowveld, and it's a brutally different world. While the rest of the country sits high and mild, here the ground falls below 900 meters, and the heat turns punishing. Dry, baking plains where the temperature regularly pushes into the high 30s and beyond. This is where the Limpopo River marks the border with South Africa. The same river Rudyard Kipling once famously called the Great Gray Green Greasy Limpopo. Fact 5. Lurking in the deep water lives a creature most people have never even heard of, the vundu. It's the largest freshwater fish in all of southern...
Is that a catfish? It looks similar to catfish that we catch in the U.S., but they're not this big. They look similar like that in the head, But what the hell? What is
Africa.
this?
An air-breathing catfish that can grow to 1.5 meters long and weigh over 55 kilograms. That's heavy.
I've caught a few of those back home. Not this big though. They ain't this big in the U.S., but yeah,
than a fully grown man. Fact 4. The granite covering so much of Zimbabwe wears away in a very particular way. It peels off in curved layers, like the skin of an onion. Geologists call it exfoliation. And it's why so many hills here aren't jagged peaks, but smooth, rounded domes. The whole country has this gentle, sculpted, ancient feel to it. And to think, it's all because of how 2.5 billion-year-old rock quietly breaks down over stretches of time almost too vast to imagine. Fact 3. At night, parts of Zimbabwe's biggest lake light up like a floating city. Hundreds of fishing rigs head out after dark, hunting a tiny sardine called kapenta.
And I tried those, fam. I tried those here in South Africa. Bruh. I'm not gonna hold you. Nah, fam.
Bright lamps over the water to draw the fish up to the surface. From the shore, it looks like stars fell out of the sky and started drifting. And here's the strange part. Kapenta aren't even native to this lake. Brought in decades ago, they now feed a whole industry that works entirely in the dark. Fact 2. Now here's one about the people, and honestly, it puts most countries to shame. Zimbabwe recognizes 16 official languages in its constitution, one of the highest counts of any country on earth. Shona, Ndebele, and English are the big 3, but the list also includes smaller languages like Tonga, Venda, and Kalanga, and even a click-based Khoisan tongue.
Tonga,
and yes,
Venda.
sign language is in there too, written in as fully official. One country, 16 ways to say hello. And finally, fact number 1. Here's a fact that quietly governs the entire country. Run a line down the spine of Zimbabwe, along that high central plateau they call the Highveld, and you found an invisible divide. Rain that falls on one side drains away to the northwest into the Zambezi, the river that feeds Victoria Falls and that great lake. Rain that falls on the other side runs the opposite way, southeast, toward the Limpopo and the Save. Think about that for a second. A single raindrop landing just a few meters to the left or the right ends up in a completely different river system, hundreds of kilometers apart. Same sky, same storm,
That's pretty wild.
2 completely different journeys to the sea. That is Zimbabwe. And 30 Facts doesn't come close to telling the full story of a country that has survived so much and still holds so much beauty.
Shout out to Zimbabwe, man. Shout out to Zimbabwe. I do plan to visit there one day. I'm not sure when, but you guys will see it on my main channel when I do. But I hope you guys enjoy my reaction, my commentary. If you did, smash that like, sub channel, guys. Stay tuned for the next one, man. Peace.